Well, I can tell you that in the last few minutes, Martha, there's been some developments here where law enforcement is here on the crime scene and they are blocking off the crime scene. They are what they're doing at the crime scene here is that they are broadening the crime scene. Tape up around the home and part of the parking lot itself is being broadened off as part of the crime scene. Now there's a rear door back here. We don't really know that they did, but if they did, and if they wanted to get rid of the weapon, the knife that was used to kill these four young people, they could have dumped that knife anywhere back here. So I was gonna perform a grid search of this area just to clear it. I'm not saying that the murder weapon is back here, but primarily to make a determination if there is any physical evidence back here. Martha, this was a very gruesome murder scene, according to the medical examiner. According to the medical examiner, there was actually blood on the walls.
According to the medical examiner, there was blood on the walls of the crime scene. I don't believe cleaning or any washing was done. Why did it take 8 hours to 9 hours to call 911? Is the question. It wasn't like the surviving roommates were sleeping. They were texting, creating numbers and contacts, taking pictures. Bethany Funk was. Maddie Morgan was trying to call Bethany Funk at 3 a.m. So they're 2:53 a.m. So it couldn't have been Brian Koberger because Brian Koberger started driving at 2:54. His phone was out of reach. And it takes at least 10 minutes to drive to 1122 Kings Road from Washington Pullman. Doesn't add up.
Home. Those individuals, 9 hours later, a call was put into law enforcement. Now, it is my understanding that before law enforcement arrived, that those individuals may have called others that came to this scene, was put into law enforcement. Now, it is my understanding that before law enforcement arrived, that those individuals may have called others that came to this scene, meaning other civilians. The problem with that is there's always a concern of contamination of this scene. So all of these things are going on right now.
So y'all heard that clearly. This was a couple of days after the quadruples. The Fox News reporter said that the surviving roommates called friends to the scene, so it was already tampered with. The whole crime scene was tampered with. The FBI wasn't invited to this case until 5 days later, on the 17th of November. Why didn't they need to call the FBI much earlier? That's the question. Kaylee's son said that she thought it was an accident. Then later on she said, don't panic. And then she said, I called Kaylee's phone and there's no answer and she was crying. And she said it was 10 a.m. So everyone knew except the police. 911 was called 8 to 9 hours later. Why did they change the previous timeline is my question. That's why they added all this confusion by changing the timeline.
Have they let any knowledge come out about whether or not they believe this is someone who knew these victims or whether or not they think this is some sort of outside serial killer crazed person? Is there any indication of which way this is leading right now?
Why did it take the police up to the 19th of December to figure out Koberger did it? Doesn't make sense. This was one of the articles in the beginning. Quadruple unaliving's breakthrough. Police zero in on University of Idaho Reserve officers training corps for possible Rambo-style weapons. That was interesting. Wonder what they found. Or did they actually search even? I think this is extremely important. This is so hard to watch. Ethan texted my son at 2 a.m. and he's almost positive they were still at the Sigma Chi at that time, based on what the text said. So that wouldn't have put Ethan home until 2:10, 2:15. Her son told the FBI, and they still didn't change their timeline. And it's frustrating for the mother and son because Ethan texted him at 2 a.m. saying he was still at the Sigma Chi party. So he couldn't have made it until 2:15, 2:10. That's when we hear the people in the grub truck yelling XANA's name and Ethan's name. Kaylee and Maddie came home at 1:56. Kaylee's sister Alivida said that she saw from the neighbor's footage that they let the dog out to potty, they let the dog in, and they locked their doors. What else did they see, I wonder? They're trying to confuse us by changing Ethan and XANA's timeline. Nobody took pictures with them that night? Is that what they're trying to say? What about all the people at the party? That would definitely be the exculpatory evidence BF has. The case hasn't even gone to trial. I won't be surprised if BK knows Bethany Funk. I've always said that. He knows definitely one of the surviving roommates, or maybe Emily, or maybe Hunter. Possibly. Allegedly. Somebody could be framing him. XANA was supposed to be at home chilling, according to her father. And her father helped her to change the locks. That's what he said in his interview. I played it 3 days ago. So was there some kind of threat that was going on that XANA felt unsafe? What was happening in the house? Was there bullying going on? Possibly Maddie bullying, allegedly DM. We saw that on Halloween. Maddie put it up on TikTok. That would affect DM's reputation. These are college students. Then you have Hannah Clee is unaliving that many people don't believe was an accident in college. Was that about a mean girl bullying thing too? Possibly. Hannah Clee's brother and friend were seen at the grub truck, and they were driving a white car, white Sierra. Have they been checked into? Could they be getting it totally wrong with BK? because his phone went off at 2:54. So he couldn't have been in Idaho, Moscow. And that was when the girls made their last call to Jack D. And Maddie made a call to Bethany Funk at 2:53 m.m. That's Maddie Morgan. Something is not right about this.